working to connect a region of over 600 million bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Maricar Velasco delivering to you the latest news in and around the ASEAN region. On today's headlines. Floods caused by heavy downpours have killed 13 people in central Vietnam as farmers scramble to save crops and livestock ahead of more bad weather forecast for this week. Authorities arrested the son of Bureau of Corrections Chief Nicanor Faildon in a suspected drug den in Naga. And the Philippines is expected to become the second fastest growing economy in Southeast Asia after Vietnam over the next year, supported by robust public and private investments, the Asian Development Bank said. Floods caused by heavy downpours have killed 13 people in central Vietnam as farmers scrambled to save crops and livestock ahead of more bad weather forecasts for this week. Torrential rains have lashed 6 provinces in the center of the country since Saturday, killing thousands of cows and chickens and flooding several cities, including the coastal resort town of Da Nang. More than 50 centimeters or 20 inches of rain hit some areas, with more downpours expected in the coming days, the Disaster Management Office said Thursday. 13 people were killed, while 1 remains missing in Quang Ngai province, the office said. Around 12,000 hectares of crops were destroyed and some 160,000 livestock killed. One farmer in Quang Nam province said he lost all his chickens in the flooding, costing him tens of thousands of dollars. Nguyen Than said the water receded, but thousands of their chickens were dead, and they had to collect them for burial as the smell was so bad. Several areas in Quang Nam and Quang Ngai provinces were still inundated on Thursday after hydropower plants discharged reservoir waters. Vietnam is frequently hit by heavy downpours during the typhoon season from May to October, but forecasters said the rains arrived late this year. More than 200 people have been killed in weather-related disasters in 2018, down from 389 last year. The Philippine National Police said that its whole force would be on high alert after the latest declaration from Communist Party of the Philippines leadership of intensified offensive against government forces and other civilian targets following the extension of martial law in Mindanao. PNP Director General Oscar Albayalde said that the latest order from CPP founding chairman Jose Maria Sison to the new People's Army showed that the communist leadership was not serious about their earlier declaration of a unilateral ceasefire this holiday season. Albayalde said that the CPP-NPA has found a convenient excuse in the congressional approval of the martial law extension in Mindanao as reason to stage further hostilities against government and civilian targets. This was even as it earlier declared a farce 5-day holiday ceasefire to trick government into reciprocating the CPP-NPA sham gesture of goodwill. He also noted that they urge their people to maintain vigilance and not be intimidated by this vain attempt by the CPP-NPA to salvage its waning reputation and regain lost support of the masses that they continue to terrorize and oppress. Albayalde said that there are at least 10 police mobile strike forces which have already been deployed to 10 provinces in eastern Visayas, Negros Island and Bicol region. These police forces have linked with the armed forces of the Philippines to further strengthen community defenses against the NPA rebels. The CPP-NPA ceasefire is scheduled to start at 12:01 a.m. of December 24 to 11:59 p.m. of December 26 and at 12:01 a.m. of December 31 to 11:59 p.m. of January 1 next year. Earlier, both the armed forces of the Philippines and the PNP had rejected calls to also declare a holiday ceasefire following the NPA declared a unilateral truce. The U.S. House of Representatives overwhelmingly adopted a resolution Thursday calling Myanmar's expulsion of hundreds of thousands of Rohingya Muslims a genocide. The lower house of Congress also accused the Myanmar military of crimes against humanity and called for the immediate release of two Reuters journalists who have been detained for covering the crisis. The resolution was backed by 394 votes from both parties, with a single Republican opposing. The United Nations has already classified the mass expulsions of hundreds of thousands of Rohingya from their homes as a genocide. Members of Congress called on Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to determine, based on available evidence, whether the actions by Myanmar military in northern Rakhine State in 2017 constitute crimes against humanity, genocide, or other crimes under international law. It added that all those responsible for these crimes against humanity and genocide should be tracked, sanctioned, arrested, prosecuted, and punished under applicable international criminal statutes and conventions. Dozens of family members whose loved ones were killed in a Lion Air plane crash rallied in the Indonesian capital Thursday, demanding the search for the jet continue. Some of the victims' families gathered in front of the presidential palace in Jakarta Thursday afternoon, where they called on authorities to help retrieve the remaining 64 bodies and pay compensation. The group said only around 30% of the plane's body has been found, and they hope the search for the victims will use vessels with sophisticated technology. The protest comes just a day after Indonesian media reported that 25 victims' families would file a new $100 million legal suit against Boeing due to faults with the 737 MAX. Several relatives of the crash victims have already filed lawsuits against Boeing, including the family of a young doctor who was to have married his high school sweetheart last month. The preliminary crash report from Indonesia's Transport Safety Agency suggested that pilots struggled to control the plane's anti-stalling system immediately before the crash. ASEAN in Focus. We'll be right back.
Visiting the Philippines, Manila or Quezon City is a popular destination. But oftentimes the hustle and bustle of the city can be more stressful on your vacation. So when you feel the need to reconnect to nature or relax again, there's a beautiful oasis just outside of the city called the Garden at Ciudad de Victoria. Some of the species that you can see here include hydrangea, snapdragon, and stargazers. They're truly beautiful. The gardens at Ciudad de Victoria are so peaceful, tranquil, and beautiful that it's become a haven for young couples and a very popular venue for engagement photos. The next time you want an escape from the big city, the garden at Ciudad de Victoria is a wonderful place to visit.
Welcome back. 5 foreigners have been arrested in Bali for drug trafficking, with a German and Peruvian possibly facing execution if convicted under Indonesia's strict drug laws. The accused smugglers, also including a Chinese, a Malaysian, and a Briton, were arrested separately over the past 2 weeks, Bali police said. The arrest comes less than a month after the first member of the Bali 9 heroin trafficking gang was released from a prison on the holiday island after serving 13 years. The Australian gang's accused ringleaders Muran Sukumaran and Andrew Chan were executed by firing squad in 2015, sparking a diplomatic row between Australia and Indonesia, which has some of the world's stiffest drug laws. Bali police said Thursday they arrested 44-year-old Peruvian George Rafael Albornoz Gamara after he arrived at Nugra Rai International Airport from Dubai last week. Officers found 4.08 kilograms of cocaine that he was hiding inside the interior of his luggage. Head of local immigration office Untung Basuki told a press conference Thursday. German Frank Zeidler, 56, en route from Bangkok, was later arrested after officers said they found 2.1 kilos of hashish inside his luggage, an amount that could also make it a death penalty case. Authorities arrested the son of Bureau of Corrections Chief Nicanor Faeldon in a suspected drug den in Naga. Nicanor Faeldon Jr. was nabbed together with his girlfriend, her father, and another male after at least 7 sachets of suspected methamphetamine hydrochloride or shabu were found in the house where they were in Barangay Mabolo, a radio report said. The authorities had been armed with a search warrant. Drug-related charges are slated to be filed against those arrested. Before he was appointed Bucor chief, the elder Faeldon was appointed to the Office of the Civil Defense. This was after his stint in the Bureau of Customs, where he came under fire following the 6.4 billion peso shabu shipment controversy, and from which he eventually resigned. The Philippines is expected to become the second fastest growing economy in Southeast Asia after Vietnam over the next years, supported by robust public and private investments, the Asian Development Bank said. In a supplement to its Asian Development Outlook 2018 update report released on Wednesday, the ADB maintained its economic growth outlook for the Philippines at 6.4% this year and 6.7% for 2019. The Philippine Gross Domestic Product, or GDP, remained strong at 6.3% in the first 3 quarters of 2018, though moderating from 6.8% last year. Investment was the biggest contributor to growth, followed by household consumption. The ADB also retained its growth forecast for Southeast Asia at 5.1% for 2018, assuming robust consumption and infrastructure investment. However, the update identified the escalating trade conflict as the largest downside risk, even after the leaders of the People's Republic of China and the United States agreed to a 90-day truce, precluding any new tariffs to allow time for bilateral negotiations, which also lends businesses a wider window for front-loading trade. More news when ASEAN in Focus comes back.
Malalaman kung legit talaga yung talent manager or yung scout.
Ito po bang yung sinasadya nila na magkaroon ng chismis para sumikat?
Meron pala po bang mga artista rin na sumasabit sa pila, yung mga nagbibigyahaman sa pera?
Paano tayo yung pinipili kung sino yung pupwede sa dinami-dami ng batang nag-a-apply? I need you, I need...
Know the latest news and information here and abroad. In Aguila, Balita, track the latest happenings in the provinces in Aguila Provincia. Be aware of important events in Asia, in ASEAN in Focus, and be updated in the biggest news around the world in Eagle News International. Tune into Mata ng Aguila and get the day's headlines and news that are sharp, accurate, and objective. Only here at Net 25.
Tuwing holiday season, madalas napapagastos tayo ng sobra dahil kulang sa pagpaplano.
Tapos meron ka pang another na babayaran. You should know our priorities. Nakabudget na po yan lahat.
Makakatulong pa po sa pamilya mo.
Tol ng Bayan. Ngayong Sabado, tuwing alas 8:30 ng gabi, dito sa Net 25.
Pep News, Linggo, alas 4 hanggang alas 5 ng hapon.
Welcome back. President Rodrigo Duterte said the return of the Balangiga bells to the country was due to the demand of the Filipino people. Earlier, presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo attributed the United States return of the bells to the Philippines to President Duterte's strong political will. The bells will be turned over to Balangiga on Saturday, December 15, in a ceremony President Duterte is expected to attend. Panelo, who earlier said Duterte would be unable to make it, said the chief executive made changes in his schedule to make sure he would be present in the historic event. Duterte said the American government will give them back to him. Then he will give them to the local executives, and the local executives will turn them over to the rightful owner, the people of Balangiga. He said he would not attend the Catholic Mass slated on that day and would instead float along the coastal shores of Samar. With the help of tame elephants, Indonesia conservation officers expel a wild elephant from a village in Aceh in the island of Sumatra in a 6-day operation. The wild animal, which had kept marauding the village for 4 years, damaging crops and houses, is released in a natural forest.
Iya, di kebun warga 4 desa kan itu. 4 desa itu termasuk dirugikan. Dari kebun sawit sampai dengan padi. Sampai gubuk masyarakat pun kadang-kadang 4 kali dirikan masih tumbang juga dibuatnya. Kalau nggak ada kawan, ini pas ada kawan kan tahu bisa jadi hasil.
Ini lagi kerap, kerap mana?
And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Maricar Velasco, and I am one with 25.